Hello there, and welcome to the CP7 podcast. My name's Palm.
And I'm Andy.
And together, we are Chrono Passion 7. Hello, and welcome to episode 32 of the CP7 podcast, your favourite watch-related podcast, brought to you by Chrono Passion 7. And what we're going to do first is a quick wristwatch check. Andy, what have you got on your wrist then?
Well, this week I have mainly been wearing the Elka D-Series Essence X Ace Jewelers, which Alon very, very kindly loaned to myself and Pam as well, alongside with the Christian Vanderclaw. So I've had some time with these pieces. It was hard to put the Christian Vanderclaw down, but now I've been trying out the Elka, and I've really been enjoying that piece. The Fume dial is beautiful. The blue hues which you get from that dial in the sun is fantastic. However, on the weekend, I went to a friend's, let's say, a gathering of my watch collecting friends where there were many beautiful vintage watches there. One of which was an incredible Rolex Oyster from the 1930s. It is a Rolex 1573. Now, what's different about this Rolex is it's actually made out of a material called Rolesium, which is quite an interesting metal. It's actually steel combined with platinum, and the overall result is a case what has a purity and appearance of platinum, whilst in that era keeping the price down. So it was an affordable metal still, but giving you that premium look of platinum and gold. And you can't really see that in the picture so well, but in the metal, if you compare it to a regular steel watch, you can see that difference. So it does have a certain brilliance to the metal of a watch. Then the dial, it's just beautiful. It is a radium dial. That's not for everybody. For me, having one piece with radium, I'm not too concerned, especially in an Oyster case. If you are keeping things contained, that's going to do the job kind of okay. But there's still modest risks with these kind of watches, but as long as you take good care of them, it's pretty much fine. But the end result is a beautiful tropical dial, which has really interesting hues. It can look white and freckled to very clean to almost brown, and a full tropical dial in certain lights, in full sunlight. It's a beautiful cushion case. It sits at around 34 millimeter, and diameter is probably around 30, so it is an interesting piece. It's very similar to my granddad's Vertex watch, actually, in how it looks and appearance and the size. But the really cool thing also about this piece, it has an original Rolex Gay Freyers bracelet as well with the proper clasp, and the clasp is stamped Rolex, so it's at the time when Rolex bought out Gay Freyers. It's an incredible piece. It's not the original Oyster Rolex, but it's from that first generation from the 1930s, and I'll be honest, I've not been able to take it off since picking that piece up. It's a great watch. But yeah, that is what I'm wearing this week, or today at least. How about yourself, Pam? What are you rocking?
Yeah, before I talk about myself, I just want to put a couple of comments on Andy's watch. I won't talk too much about it, or think this show will have to be renamed Andy's New Watch. Great cushion case, amazing onion crown, really, really like that. And that tropical dial is immense. Longines put out a military 39mm watch a couple of years ago, and they tried to mimic this, and it doesn't come anywhere close to how awesome this one looks. So that's what I'm going to say about it, and I'm not going to say any more, like I say, otherwise I'll have to rename the show. Today I am wearing also a Rolex. It's summer. It's a watch with an amazing sunburst blue dial. It is the Submariner Bluesy 40mm with the super case, two-tone. My favourite summer watch in my collection. I love it when the sun comes out and it just shimmers off this beautiful blue dial and gorgeous blue ceramic bezel, and that's what I've got on my wrist. Talking of Rolex, you may have seen in the watch news recently that the CEO, Jean-Frédéric Dufour, has said that Rolex profits have actually gone down 20%. which, if you include the spike during the pandemic, actually puts them up 5%, but we're not going to go into that. Rolex are saying they're going to have to be careful. Hodinkee have stopped selling pre-owned watches, which could be another sign of the state of the watch market. Swatch Group saw sales drop by nearly 20% in the first 6 months of this year. So you could say the hype's all over. That kind of inspired today's show. It's like, okay, the hype's over. No one's going to judge you on what watch you wear now. Wear what you like. Andy, give everyone a little bit more detail into what today's show's about then.
As you said earlier, it's all about Andy's watch. So for Rolex, Andy's Rolex takeover.
Yeah, this is today's Unplugged as well. I forgot to tell you. So no edit, no nothing. Yeah, and we're having a beer as well while we're recording this for the first time.
Yeah, so forgive the slurs, and if me and Palm start arguing halfway through the show, it's the alcohol what started that. Don't worry. So, what is the show actually about? Well, linking to what Palm said, it's time to maybe stop thinking, and I don't think any of our listeners are like that anyway, but it's time to buy what you actually like, right? And don't necessarily judge a watch by its cover. What do we mean by that? So, some watches you see it and it might not be quite for you. And sometimes a brand doesn't actually care. So, we're going to talk about brands today, just loosely, who break the mold and they're like, okay, some of our customers will love this and some will hate it. But we're doing this because we want to have fun and we want to bring something different to the market. And it's a nice, fresh breakaway from all of that hype around, let's be honest, Rolex and AP and great watches. Nothing against them. I've just picked up a Rolex. So it's nothing against those kind of brands. But in a watch industry, what's cooling off a little bit, it does allow us to think more about having a bit more fun with the watches we pick up, maybe. And the first watch what comes to my mind under this kind of topic, and it's quite a relatable one because it's one I've actually owned, and it's the Mad Gallery Mad 1, the red edition. And it's a funny old watch. And even when I look at it today, I do like it. Let me make this clear. I really like it. I think it's really cool. It's on that rally strap.
I've
It's
got
something
to
about
interject here. You really like it? But if
Yes.
you really like it, why did you sell it after 3 days?
It's a great question. A brilliant question, and I'm going to come to that. Sometimes certain watches you can appreciate from a distance. And it's a watch what I appreciate from a distance, and I can see other people loving it and having fun with it, and that's great. So hats off. I do like the watch, just not on my wrist and in my collection. Personally, I found it a bit bulbous and I found it a little gimmicky after a bit. The little Miyota movement it felt, I've said this in previous shows, for me personally, it just felt a little bit hollow and lacked a little bit of soul, what I look for in a watch myself. But it's a great example of a watch what's like, look, this won't be for everybody, but for those who want that funky MB&F look, this is about as close you're going to get for an affordable price point, right? And it's certainly a Marmite watch, right? How do you find the Mad One, Palm? Do you have? I remember actually in Pernell we met Munich watch collector, and you can tell this story.
Yeah, I had great difficulty with trying to get it to spin, get the rotor to spin. But it's supposed to be easy. I'm sure there's a technique, but it was okay. Mad Editions is separate from MB&F, but it is more or less the same thing. It introduces you to the brand to an affordable point in Max Boos's horological, experience. But I like it. I like that. When people got this and people got excited about it, I thought, this is cool. This is very cool. Again, from a distance, I thought, this is very cool. At arm's length, shall we say. I was a bit, I don't get it. Yeah. No, I don't get it. I think, okay, people like it. There's got to be something about it. It's very sought after. It's very coveted. Is it hyped? Again, I was thinking, is it hyped? Could it be like the brands we're talking about, Rolex, AP, again, nothing against those brands whatsoever. But the title of this show is Don't Judge a Watch by Its Cover, but also fun watches we aren't supposed to like. So your traditionalists and your purists are going to be like, what the hell's going on here? But people in the know will know this is Max Busa and everything about the Mad One. I like the concept. I like what it's trying to do. Would I own one? More than likely not. I think if I was a bit more of a collector than I was, I probably if I had a bit more capital to put into my collection, I possibly would have one. But as if I was okay, let me put it this way: if I was a three-piece collection man, I wouldn't get this. But it is something nice to have if you're dotted with lots of different brands in your collection, and you want a Max Busa piece. And I think that's pretty much where it sits for me. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think that's valid. And I went that step further and acquired the piece because I did think it was really cool and I did respect it. And then
Acquired
after a
and
week,
disposed of.
in 1 week, and it's not a stab at the brand. I really really respect Masbusa. I really respect MB&F. I really respect my gallery. Right, let's make that clear. I love the innovation. I love the creativity. I love the fun what they have. I love how they break the mold. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. It's just for me when I had it, it maybe it just didn't do it. Like, look at the watches I tend to own, right? Let's be real. I'm a bit of a classic guy. It doesn't mean every watch I own has to be vintage. I love modern as much as vintage as well. At the moment, I'm gravitating to vintage, but equally, I'm being pulled to modern as well all the time. So it's not really that. It was just a little bit too loud for how I want to be seen with a watch, but I respect it. And if I was in a position at the time where I had a larger collection and this was just an additional extra for some fun factor, it'd probably be still with me today. I could see this, and we know people who own this piece who do say, I don't wear it all the time, but I really love it when I do put it on because it's just nothing else like it. And I agree with that. It just depends what stage in your journey you are at. And I think as you nailed it on the head, Palm, I think it's a piece what you enjoy, but it's for the man who already has everything. And this is let's have a bit of fun with my collection now. As for me, it was added to my collection when it wasn't as big or wasn't such a large size where it was one of my main pieces. It wasn't a fun piece on the side, and that makes that makes a difference, right? As a main focal point piece in my collection, it didn't make sense at that time. Hence why it it went
Okay. No, I
spinning off
remember when you bought
very
it.
very
Yeah, I
quickly.
remember. I remember when you bought it. A friend of mine has this, and I told him, and he was like, "Oh, I haven't worn again. I haven't worn mine for ages, but you know what? I'm going to get it out of the watch box and wear it today." So it's almost sometimes a piece in the collection that is almost a showpiece. I don't know. I've never owned it, but I'm getting that impression from a
It's a
couple of
bit of a
people that I know that have
yeah,
them.
it's a
I don't
party
see
piece.
anyone. This isn't. I've never seen or heard of anyone just wearing this every day. This is my watch every day. I'm not going to change it now. I love it so much.
It's really
You
not a
know.
daily watch. It really isn't. No, it's a party piece. It's one what you wear to collector meetups, and they're like, "Oh, is that the mad one? Yeah, it's so fun," and people enjoy it. And I just see that cringy uncle dancing at a wedding dance floor wearing the mad one, spinning.
Fidget
So
spinner.
fidget spinner uncle, yeah, with his mad one, and
Yeah,
hip down
trying to
with the
be
kids.
cool, down with the kids. Yeah, with his trainers with the lights on the back. Is this a fun watch we aren't supposed to like, or is this a fun watch we are supposed to like, but maybe we don't?
I think anybody who is a true watch enthusiast and appreciates what Massapusa does with MB&F, I think it's one we're supposed to like. And I do like it from a distance. I don't need it, but I respect it. I think
Yeah,
I'd
I mean,
leave
you
it at
did
that.
buy it, so
Yeah,
You know, it
I did
wasn't
have
like
it.
you
I
didn't
did
like.
like
Yeah,
it.
it wasn't. Yeah, so you're backing up what you said. You liked the look of it, but you didn't like to own it.
Exactly that. If I
Yeah,
see it on somebody else, I have envy. I'm like, oh, that is fun though. That is cool.
yeah.
But I don't need it. But I can see why people flip about it. It makes sense.
Flip the watch or flip
Flip
the lid.
in all respects. Flipping the fidget spinner or flipping it for another watch. Yeah. So Pam, I am curious. What piece have you chosen?
Well, I think now this to me is a really fun watch, and if I ever bought it, I would get absolutely ridiculed. But you know what? I don't care. I was looking at it today, and it's actually half price. It's not that expensive. Well, everything's expensive. It's not as expensive as a lot of other watches. It's from a brand that's not particularly fashionable, but gets respect. It's from Maurice Lacroix, and you'll understand why I'm a bit skeptical to get it, even though I'd love to have this. It is the Maurice Lacroix Icon #Tide Benzilla. 40 millimeters, so it's a good size. It almost is like Swatch meets AP offshore and goes a bit bonkers. I mean, I think that's what I mean for the offshore and for Swatch to go a bit bonkers. You have to look at this. By the way, check out the show notes for this episode on our website at www.chronopassion7 the number 7.com, and you will see exactly what I mean. So okay, I'm going to tell you why I like this watch. I grew up in the 80s. There was a massive style, culture, and music revolution coming from New York in the United States. That was hip hop, that was electro, a lot of breakdance, graffiti. It was all coming in. It was you couldn't get away from it. And as a kid growing up in it, a teenage kid growing up in it, it was just everywhere. Everyone was breakdancing, doing the spray paints, and they were wearing the big baggy jeans, big trainers. It was a cultural explosion, like I was saying. And this watch is the dial. It's very American graffiti inspired. The dial is actually graffiti, but from a Thai graffiti artist. His name is Benzilla, ironically, hence they call the watch the Benzilla. So let me give you a bit more background on this. Why did they team up with a Thai graffiti artist? Because this is made of plastic. It's got an orange plastic case. It's got that classic AP offshore shape. If you think about AP offshore, obviously on a much cheaper scale, this one is made of plastic, not steel. It does have a rubber strap, but the plastics are from plastics found around Philippines, Thailand, that part of Southeast Asia. It has a big ethical story behind it. So it's made from waste that we throw away, ends up in oceans around the world, and we all throw away, not just me and Andy. But it is a watch that I bet you, if you met me and I was wearing this, you'd probably think, "My God, what the hell's that guy got on his wrist?" But because of the nostalgia, it's got this graffiti character called Look with three O's, the Luke, and it's absolutely bonkers. It's crazy, but I just love that 1980s, the bright colors, the graffiti, just that I don't give a crap kind of vibe about it. That's why I think this is a watch I am not supposed to like, but for
You
some
do.
reason I do. Yeah.
This is a great example. And I appreciate the Icon, right? I think it's a cool watch. I do think Maurice Lacroix are quite underrated on the watch scene, and I do believe they deserve more hype and more love. And it's a funny one because this is kind of a cool, hip street watch. If we go back to the Tag Keith days, which weren't so long ago. When I say days, it sounds like it's a long time ago.
Ye old, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
woo, in the ye old days. But when we had that little hype around the Formula One and Keith, that was a streetwear brand. It was kind of cool, hip, bringing the Formula One back. Okay, it was linking on kind of with the Moon watch. hype and trend, right? So people got on board with that. And it's kind of a shame that Maurice Lacroix haven't quite had the same success with such pieces like this, or at least I don't believe they have. Now, this is completely not a watch I would go for, which is crazy. I like the
I'm not
format.
surprised. Yeah,
Yeah, I like the form factor. I like the shape. I like the design. It's nothing to do with that. I like the baby blue strap. I don't necessarily dislike the colorway, but that graffiti dial for me is too loud. But I respect for yourself, Pam, how you have a connection with that and you like it. And I really like that I don't like it and you do, because I found this, we agree on many things, right? But not
yeah,
always. And this is a great example. I really can't imagine this. This is not Pam. You know, the Great White is Pam. Cartier Tank is you. You know, Rolex Bluesy. But when I'm like, and I know you wear other watches, you wear cool like G-Shocks and Seikos, yeah, but I just don't see. I'm trying to imagine you wearing this, and I really can't. I really want you to buy it because I want. Are you gonna have like the baseball cap on backwards and like
and the hoodie
Jordans
on.
on
Yeah,
high tops and hoodie? Yeah, like walking around with a
and we'll
boombox at the next
carry a
watch show.
lino on my shoulder. Yeah,
Yeah,
roll of
next Geneva
lino on
watch
the
days,
shoulder. Yeah,
just
I'll
like
be
kick
there.
the door down and
Body popping. Yeah, doing all that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah,
But again,
spinning on
this
your head
is
in the beau
yeah. Well,
rivage.
yeah, sitting on my head. Yeah, at my age, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
My head spinning maybe from all the yeah, from all the beer. But no, it's just weird because this is almost like you say, this is a young watch, but I don't think it was made. Well, it's in an industry where but the price is actually not bad. Actually, it's at a funny position, isn't it? Maurice Lacroix is at a strange, a different position in the watch market, and it's just weird. I don't think anyone. Let me know in the comments what you think. Let us know in the comments what you think. I'm expecting a lot of negativity around this one and thinking, what the hell are you talking about? But I genuinely do like this. Do not think I'm doing this just for the show. It's a bonkers watch, and I just really like it. And I saw it today for half price, and I was like, oh, hang on. But
I
then
want
I
you
had
to
to.
buy it. I do. I just want to see you rock this. And it's one of those you can be sometimes in a picture, and when you're like, actually, that is a cool vibe, you know. Like I'm guilty of wearing the most, you know, Mr. Roboto, so I can't say anything. I wore a robot toy on my wrist, so you like what
Yeah,
you like, and sometimes it goes against the norm, but it's something what connects you to that, and that makes
it's
it
the
personal to
graffiti.
you.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's that American style graffiti from
yeah.
the 80s, late 70s, early 80s. That
It's
kind of
cool.
well,
It is
80s
really
really, but
cool.
yeah,
Yeah, I appreciate the art style, and that's been commissioned, that print, just for that dial, which is really cool as well. It's not just some random thing; it's a proper artist who's done this. It is
yeah.
quite special, to be fair. It's just I can't imagine wearing it, but maybe I need to. Who knows? I could be like,
Who
"Whoa, I love
knows?
this," and just
Could have
collect
two.
Maurice Lacroix from now on.
Yeah, they do a tide a bit more in a bit more subdued colors where they're trying to save the planet and
Yeah,
doing that whole ethical thing. But
it's a good thing.
yeah, so that is. I thought I'd get that one in first because it's
Yeah, it's an interesting piece. Like
bonkers. Yeah,
yeah, it's not a challenge today. It's just an open kind of discussion
yeah,
around watches we've kind of picked around this topic. And leading on from this one, I think we have a common ground on this particular piece. And in this case, it would be Franck Muller with the Crazy Hours. So, Franck Muller, in general, they don't get the love they deserve as a brand. Like, he was one of the best, most complicated watchmakers there was, or is, right? Was, that's the wrong word, but is. And we were lucky enough at Watches and Wonders to visit directly Franck Muller's it's almost like a ranch, right? It's huge. This
Yes,
huge
just a
campus
facility.
and estate,
You'd call it in America,
almost
yeah. In
an
the United
estate.
States, you'd call it
Yeah,
a facility. Yeah.
yeah. Just and the complications. Now that's a whole different show, and maybe we need Martin, our resident gentleman, on for that one because he really knows the brand well and really appreciates those complications. However, you've got the Tonu case, which is a beautiful case shape, very elegant, very classic, which I like about Franck Muller in general. It's a case shape which I really like. And I think the Crazy Hours is so much fun. Like, it's just a bonkers way of telling the time. And the way that they've calibrated the movement to jump, it's almost like a jump in hour, right? But in a conventional time telling format. So, for example, if it's 10 o'clock and then the next hour is 11, it's just shooting round to the opposite side of the dial to tell you that hour, right? It's going, in this case, the 10 o'clock's where 11 o'clock should be, and then it's jumping over to 11 o'clock. What's that? 3 o'clock. It's just all mixed up. It's all crazy, right? Um, it's a fascinating, really, really fascinating piece in how they do that. And I really appreciate it. I love it. I think it's bonkers. I think it's a bit wacky, but it's a watch what I think is a hit. But did they design this to be a mainstream hitter? Absolutely not. It's and are you supposed to like this watch? I'm not sure. But if you're into
There we go.
complications,
Is
certainly,
this a fun? Sorry, is this a fun watch we aren't supposed to like?
yeah, I don't know, but I do. But Palm, I know you're a Frank Miller fan as well. Are
Yeah,
you a fan of the Crazy Hours?
I love the Crazy Hours. I think it's awesome. It reminds me of like these cartoons with the numbers all over the place. The font, a bit wacky, a bit, you know, a bit crazy. This to me, I think the Crazy Hours. If Willy Wonka had a watch, this would be the watch Willy Wonka wore because it's just all over the place. Like you say, 6 is at 2 o'clock, 12 is at 8 o'clock, and the hour will jump round, and it will just be. I think either it could lose its novelty quite quickly, or you would just every hour you'll be just waiting. You'll be looking forward to the change of the hour just to
Watching
see
it
it flick
jump.
over. Yeah,
Yeah. Actually, I gave the worst example. I think I said 10 is at 11 o'clock, and it isn't. I think 10 is in this
that's it.
example,
Yeah.
it's actually at the right place.
10, 1, and 7 are the only ones in the right place. Yeah,
It's really, yeah, it plays with your mind as
and
well
4.
with
Yeah, yeah.
it's really fun. But yeah, forgetting my example or not, the hours are just completely mixed up as a whole, right? And it's just so playful. And I'm a fan of jumping hours in general, and this approach to a jumping hour is, I think it's awesome. And people just really don't care about it, I would say, unless you're a real enthusiast. You really start to appreciate complications, and this isn't an insult to other people, but you have to be at a certain level to start appreciating this, maybe. And I think in general, a lot of people are like, oh, Frank Miller, the quality wasn't so great, and yeah, wacky hours, that's just nonsense. And they don't actually take a second look and read about it and go, hang on, this is quite complicated to actually achieve this, and how much fun and imagination went into creating this kind of crazy Willy Wonka watch. As you said, that's a great way of describing it, especially
Yeah,
in this
because
colorway as well.
yeah,
Fits
they
quite well.
do one with the rainbow kind of numbers, different colors, and a white dial and a gold or steel case, and that is your proper Willy Wonka. It's just fun. Again, this is a fun watch, but this is probably the only one we've talked about which is a real complication. Has high. Well, you could call it high horology in that it does something that
Yeah,
no other watch really does, and it's at a high level of design and engineering. So and it's just nuts. That's why I like it.
Yeah.
It's just a
I,
bit wacky. Yeah.
yeah, I'd personally love to own one of these one
Yeah.
day. But again, I think similar to the Mud one, you wouldn't have this as your a daily watch. You'd just be
No.
late to every meeting. You'd be confused.
Oh, you
But again,
drive. Don't. Yeah. Check your
yeah,
if
this
you're
is your party
driving. Yeah.
watch.
You check the
Check
time on your car clock. Yeah. Don't check the time on that watch because you'll be, you know, you'll be all over the place. You may have a yeah. You
exactly
may,
that. Exactly
yeah.
that. Yeah. But great watch,
Yeah.
great brand, deserve more love for sure.
I'd say
So
so.
what's
That is
next?
well. I'm going back to my kind of wacky caricatures and characters. I was at a Red Bar event at Bell and Ross with Red Bar London, and in London, of course. And they showed a whole range of watches. Some, I mean, I'm warming to the brand a lot. I'm warming to the brand a lot more than I used to. I fell in love with the BR05 with the copper dial. That to me is just, oh, I could see myself one day possibly getting that. But then there was this watch there which just it didn't steal the show, but it just made you think, wow. Now Bell and Ross is a very serious aviation based company, military aviation based watch company. They have a trademark square case shape, which is supposed to represent the instruments as they're screwed into the instrument panel on a plane. And so hence they have this consistent square theme running through. There are some round ones, but majority have a consistent square design. And then they came out with this one. So if anyone knows the BR01, again, that's exactly how I said. It's the instrument panel on the plane. It's almost rectangular, and it's got a skull in the middle, and it's got a balance wheel at 12 o'clock, and it's skeletonized also, and it's bronze, and it just looks. I saw it, and I just thought, what the hell is this? And then we're going to put this in the show notes on the website. Sorry, where's the website, Andy? I
Oh,
can't
that little
seem to
old
remember.
thing. www.chronopassion7.
WW or WWW?
It is for three W's dot
Yeah,
chronopassion7, as in the number 7.com.
awesome. Yeah, so look there and you'll see it. And we'll put a little clip in on my visit to the boutique. And as you pull the crown out and wind it and adjust the time, the skull's jaw moves up and down, and it looks like it's talking to you or laughing. You know, you get the scary, spooky skull cackling away. Skeletor almost from the old He-Man cartoon. It's just crazy. Again, bonkers, but it really drew me in, and it just made me think, this is what you can do. This is why brands shouldn't just stick to one thing, and this shows how good Bell and Ross can be, because they could do anything they want. And I think there's going to be a lot more coming. From what they were saying, there are going to be a lot more surprises and a bit more fun coming out of Bell and Ross, and I'm glad to see it, because it's that brand from France that deserves more focus than it gets, because they do some awesome things. What do you reckon, Andy? I mean, I'm really curious to know what you think about this one.
It's a funny old one, right? I've not seen this in person, and it took me. I understand the history of Bell and Ross, and I understand the playing instrument styles and why they do the design to pay homage to their, heritage. So I've always understood the K shapes, and the K shapes have never really been an issue for me. I've just never fell in love with a Bell and Ross, right? And maybe since you went to this event and you've spoken about them more, I've started to give them a bit more attention as well. And in the skull example, there's so many things what I really like about it. Like the 3D depth to the skull is really impressive. Like the amount of detail is amazing. And I love how they put like the balance wheel in the center of the skull, like the brain. And that's the brain of a watch, keeping it in time, keeping everything working correctly. And I like that. That's a clever touch. My if I was a watchmaker, which I'm not, so I'm not qualified to say this, the only thing I'd change about this watch is I would not put the crown in the regular position, because that then creates this bridge going to the skull. If that wasn't there, the skull would be perfectly suspended in the center of the watch with like the 4 bridges going around. If you refer to the pictures again on our website, you'll see this. I would have personally put the crown on the back of a watch to then really give the skull that floating feel without having this brass
I, th-
bridge going to it.
I thought you were going to say at 6 o'clock. I'm glad you didn't,
I said
because
that
that would
for
have
you,
looked
right?
like
I hope I
something
did.
else.
Yeah, yeah,
No, yeah, you. No, you're behind the watch. Yeah,
yeah.
I know. I'm just saying. I thought
Oh,
you were going to
okay.
say
Yeah, yeah.
put it at 6 o'clock, though, because then that would have looked like something completely
Yeah,
different.
sure would. But does that make sense? I just think you've got this balance of the dial with the skull and this skeletonization of the skeleton, which is really cool, and just that bridge from the crown to the skull kind of takes that essence of flotation away from it. And if they innovate this, if in the future they were to move that crown to the rear of the watch, it would give the skull such a suspended look, and I think that would make it perfection in my eyes. That would be the finishing touch. But I don't know if that bridge going to the skull bothers you from the crown at 3 o'clock or not. But for me, that's my only nitpick. And I'm no watchmaker. I don't know how difficult that is to do. So I'm not qualified to say. But cosmetically, that's what I'd like to see as a collector or enthusiast. Other than that, I think it's
I
awesome.
didn't. Yeah, I didn't notice that. At the time, there's so much exposed in the dial. I mean, there's hardly anything apart from the skull. So I didn't really notice that when I was looking at it. I think it would have been
Sorry.
quite complicated to put it at the back. It probably wouldn't have
I can't.
been so easy.
I can't say. I do think that
Big watch. It's a
yeah.
massive watch. It's not small. So it's. Let me try and It's almost a picture frame, kind of a rectangular watch, like I said, long ways, but yeah, it's squared off at the corners, and it's big. It's a big old lump of bronze on your wrist, and I think to add stuff at the back, it would have probably reduced the good experience you'd have had.
Yeah, quite possibly. Like, I'd love to ask the designer if it. I'm sure they had that. They must have thought, is it possible? And then probably to get the watch at the correct price, what they wanted the watch to be at, is certain compromises you've got to make. But nothing's impossible. We know that in watchmaking, well, to a degree. For something like that, it would certainly be possible, but the cost to do that might have not been practical for the price point they were targeting. But all the same, it looks fantastic. Just as a one thing, that is one thing I would have liked to. I'd personally, if I saw it without the crown at 3, I'd be like, yeah, that's awesome. It's like fully suspended. That'd be really cool. But I like it. I think it's a winner. Overall, that's one nitpick. That's not bad.
Yeah, it's crazy, but I like the skull and crossbones, isn't it? And the bones into the corners, the way they're screwed in as well. It's just nice, just bonkers, crazy, strange watches I'm getting into these days. Andy, what are you saying is your final pick?
So my final pick is the Ulysse Nardin, the Freak, which needs no introduction. I think many enthusiasts know this piece. So we're going back to that circular shape, a more familiar and comfort zone for most collectors. However, that's where the comfort certainly ends. Now, I don't know if people love the Freak or hate the Freak. I think there's many a enthusiast who definitely appreciate it, and it's a fact that the way you tell the time with a minute and hour hand is the fact that the minute is actually the movement. So the movement is constantly moving around the watch and then moving the hour around at the same time. It's incredible. It's an animated movement in the whole. The movement becomes the minute hand. I think that's an incredible innovation, and it's so animated and alive. And you know from previous shows, or if you're new to the podcast, I'm a big lover of the Coram Golden Bridge. And I really respect that baguette style of watchmaking because I appreciate and understand from reading about it how difficult it is to produce. So then to produce a baguette style movement within a minute's hand, what then moves around the dial, moving the additional hour hand, an incredible feat of engineering and master watchmaking. I think it's incredible. Whether you love it or hate it, I think it's a masterclass in watchmaking and a piece what is iconic within the industry, in my humble opinion, at least. I really, really like it. I'm a big fan. I think it's incredible. I understand it might not be for everybody. Maybe it's a little bit steampunk for the more traditional style of collector, but it's hard not to appreciate something like this. I think it was made to be light, personally, and I think it was made to be, wow, this is what they can do. But Palm, I'm interested. What's your opinion on the Freak?
I think it's incredible. It is Ulysse Nardin. You could say it's Ulysse Nardin meets high horology because the movement, as you described so well, the
Did I?
hours and minutes
I tried.
move. Well, I think so. Yeah, we've had a beer, so maybe you did. I don't know. I'll tell in the edit. Um, sorry, the minutes and hour. It's the movement moving round, and there's a disc. This kind of goes back to our friends at Trilobe, where basically the discs are spinning round independently of each other. And I don't understand why this isn't as respected as it should be. Because Ulysse Nardin have got a serious dive watch heritage, proper divers. Professional divers look up to Ulysse Nardin as a reliable and professional diving watch. And this, obviously, you cannot use this diving. I wouldn't have thought because, yeah, I'm pretty sure you shouldn't use this diving. But it, in terms of having a bit of fun with horology or being creative with your watches, which is actually what has been done with most of the watches we've talked about today. It's yeah, a fun. I think this is quite a serious one. It comes across as fun because they said we were trying to do something a bit crazy. We had to call it the Freak. That was the rhetoric from Ulysse Nardin and the designers. But I think it's a very serious watch. I think if you really know your watches, you would like this.
100%. It's a serious piece of horology. And another detail of more, again, go to the show notes, go to www.chronopassion7.com to see these. I'm sorry to keep plugging the site, but the best way to enjoy this show really is getting that visual element as well. But what's amazing, touching back on that minute hand, what's constantly rotating around, if you look at the very outer bezel, there's teeth going all the way around it. And then that's how it's pulling itself around the dial to make that 60-minute rotation. What a feat of engineering, like when you synchronize all of that together. Like, I'd be mesmerized just watching it all the time. Like, the first thing I'd do if I bought the Freak is time lapse it. I'd just have my phone over it and I'd be time lapsing the watch.
Oh God,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what you should be doing. Yeah, just the way the teeth latch around the outer track to move round for the minutes is a serious piece, but seriously fun as well, which is, yeah, what this is all about.
Yeah, I agree. I hope this one is loved and respected. And yeah, you shouldn't judge it by the cover. Certainly, this is a great example because at face value, you're like,
Mm.
gosh, there's a lot going on there. It's a bit overbearing. That's just, and it's called the Freak. But if you actually look at it
Mm.
and you appreciate the watchmaking, what's gone into this, I've never seen anything as unique. Like, I've seen equally unique pieces, but this is definitely a unique concept of horology and time telling. What nobody else has mimicked to a degree. I haven't seen anything else like this. What works in the same way, and that normally says a lot about how difficult it probably is to produce. So some serious watchmaking comes from Ulysse Nardin. Some serious innovation in movement technology as well, which completely gets overshadowed at times or overlooked at least. So yeah, definitely this is one to appreciate for sure. But Palm, what's your final choice of today's show?
Let me inject some fun, I thought. This is just a nice, simple watch. It is, again, nostalgia. It isn't as highly complicated as the Freak. In fact, the only complication it has is a date on it. It is the Oris Pro Pilot X Kermit. Now, this is a watch that got absolutely panned when it came out. It was, what the hell do you need Kermit the Frog on your watch for? The Pro Pilot X is highly respected, nice titanium watch, very modern, futuristic looking pilot watch. But the thing is, what people don't know about this is the dial. It is the green transitions to yellow and many different colors. I've tried this on at the Oris Boutique at another watch event, and what made me think I'll pick this one for fun watches that you shouldn't like was we went there. I was with a watch friend and what's it called? Friend and watch friend and I tried it on and I was like, okay, I quite like this. It's Kermit the Frog. I know some people think it's a bit silly, and it's just like, no, you can't wear that. Look at that. The cut, you can't wear that. No, that's far too loud for you. And I was like, well, hang on, no, I think I could, and that's just stuck with me. And I just thought, you know what? No matter what people say, what you should wear and what you shouldn't wear whatever you want. But I think this is fun though. It's got Kermit the Frog in it. I'm talking about nostalgia. I think two of my watches are inspired by nostalgia. The Muppet Show when I was a young man, every Sunday evening, look forward to it. School the next morning, but you had that one last bit of fun before you had to go to bed and get up in the morning on Monday for school. Was watching the Muppet Show. So it was a no-brainer for me. And people think you have to be a certain type of you have to dress a certain way or be a certain way or act a certain way to wear something like this. And I don't think so. I think anyone can wear this watch. And that's why it's a fun watch that I'm not supposed to like. What do you reckon, Eddie?
Yeah, I think it's a great choice. I really like it. It's like a slice of refreshing lime and a great summer dial, great summer piece. But it is extremely polarizing as well for many, which I can appreciate. It's very intense. I think it's great fun. I like on the final date of a month, you have Kermit peeking out at you to cheer up. It's payday or something like that. It's just a great piece, and obviously the Pro Pilot is a beautiful. Again, I think Oris do get quite a lot of love for these models for the Pro Pilots. I think they've got a great K shape, a great ID, nice bracelet, nice design. But I can see why it's a little marmite on this one, as the dial is, as I mentioned, it is polarizing. It is an intense color, and people probably think you need to be a bit hipster, a bit a certain way, as you say, like have a certain style or look to pull that off. But really, do you? You can just rock it, right?
I thought Kermit the Frog was quite nerdy anyway. He wasn't exactly,
Yeah, it's been used, hasn't it?
it wasn't James Bond.
Yeah, there was a Budweiser advert. I think Bud. I don't know. That's a whole different thing these days. I think we've got boycotted for various reasons. I'm not going into that stuff. But back in the day, when it was the household beer of America, people liked Bud. There was an advert with a famous country musician called Brad Paisley, and we were doing the Battle of the Banjos. He's a really good guitar player, and then there were Kermit playing the banjo. So I always thought Kermit were kind of cool since I saw that advert with my kind of music background, if you like. But Muppets is a bit like, it's a bit tacky, it's a bit old fashioned. But then there's something kind of refreshingly cool about the reinterpretation of Muppets, at least on this. And then again, going back to that old advert, I kind of think it was cool. So Kermit's kind of cool. It's a bit dorky, but lovable and
Yeah, he
cool
was
at
a
the
bit
same time.
dorky, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But it's just all right. But he was the main one for the Muppet Show. I mean, okay, they had many characters, but he was the You think Muppet Show, you think Kermit. He's the first one you think of.
Yeah,
Kermit.
Kermit.
But
Oh, Miss Piggy, right? Maybe
yeah,
that's the
but you
next one.
think Kermit first. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe
yeah.
they'll take their time with that one, but yeah, maybe next Kermit, then Gonzo, and then Fozzie Bear, and the whole lot. Yeah, but I can see why people aren't the biggest fans of it.
Yeah,
But I think it's all right,
I think it's
and
cool.
it's a fun watch that you can like if you want to, and not have to worry about anything else.
Exactly that. Yeah, great summer watch. Great for this time of year, actually, with that dial.
Yeah, definitely
Voice.
for this time of year. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that. Well, have we got time? Well, I think we got time. We're excuse me, unedited, unplugged. We have time for one more, and we cannot go through a fun watch show without MB&F. I know we had the mad one earlier on, but Andy, you've picked one. I picked one by totally coincidentally as well. So yeah, go on, tell us about which one you like.
Yeah, that's very, very true. So I have picked the MB&F, the Horology Machine 10, which is the easier name for this piece is the Bulldog. And it is definitely, if we're talking polarizing, this is a polarizing watch beyond what Kermit was over there. Kermit's quite chilled out compared to this piece. I just think it's so much fun. Yeah, again, you need to see this piece. It's like you've got a little French bulldog sitting on your wrist, has these big goggly eyes looking at you, and the little mouth, and the way they've constructed the case and the way they've incorporated the lugs as legs on the back and the front, and even the way on the back lugs, it's kind of like the muscular part of a bulldog on the back, a bit more raised, a bit stronger. Like, it's really clever how they've really had fun with K-shaped design. Maybe Max Busser has a French bulldog or something, or a British bulldog. Maybe that's where the inspiration came from, or maybe coincidental. Also reminds me of a frog, and arguably you could say, is it inspired by the bullfrog? So it is bulldog, but it also looks a bit like a bullfrog as well. I just think it's fun. I think it's wacky, and I think it's kind of funky looking when I see people wearing this in wrist shots. I just think it looks great fun and just such amazing horology with the two spinning discs, one disc spinning to tell you, the hour, the other disc spinning to tell you the minutes. And I think they're on their own independent gear trains going to the focal point of the movement. Very, very clever movement technology, which it's be a whole different show to go into the depth of it. But it's just a piece I've always looked at and thought, if I did have MB&F money, and that it is probably one what I would be tempted to get. And I don't quite know why. It's just something about it what I find quite charming. And maybe that's the Mr. Roboto in me, like I've had in the past. It's just something about it what I really like. But Pam, are you a fan of a bulldog, or is it not for you?
Yeah, it's MB&F. How can you not like it? It is what it is. Don't expect subtlety and sophistication. Expect incredible horology and fun and playfulness and genius. Max Busser is a genius, and this is an example of that. And just those leg lugs, and like you say, the mouth open at the front. If you see it, check out the show notes, of course. It's a great picture we'll put on, just showing you it, just face on. It is like a bulldog squaring up to you, protecting its owner's wrist. And yeah, fan.
Yeah, absolutely love it. I don't know if it's supposed to be loved. I think it's a horology machine, right? That's what they're all about. They're just to break the mold, try something different. I just see it as contemporary art for your wrist and incredible engineering. And hopefully, Geneva Watch Days is around the corner. We'll be getting hands on with this actual piece.
I think we
I
might.
think
I
it
think we
might be
might,
that
and we
time.
might. Let's check out the Mad Gallery as well. I think while
Yeah,
we're there, let's give that. I've not been there before. We'll give that a go as
yep,
well.
100%. But Pam, which MB&F have you chosen?
My MB&F is polarizing. It's crazy. It's insane. And there's one reason why I like this, and it's basically the same concept. So it's based on an animal, a bird to be more specific, and it has the same two discs. Well, the left hand eye representing two eyes. It's called the Horology Machine 3 Jewelry Machine, and it's in the shape of an owl. And there's a pink one and a purple one. The purple one's the one I like. And the left eye is the minutes cylinder, which rotates to give you the minutes, and the right eye is the hour cylinder, which rotates to tell you what hour it is. And you may think, why on earth? Okay, we've seen Palm putting some crazy options out here, but what is it? I mean, why? So it's a simple reason. On Instagram, before I got into the watch world, I started a little Instagram account. That's how I got connected with the watch community at first. And my handle is the Night Watchman, and my logo had an owl in it. Ironically, a purple. There was some purple in the owl as well. So I just saw this watch and I thought, okay, it's an owl and it's kind of similar and it's a watch, and you don't normally get that. And then I found out that this is actually based on a character called the Night Owl. The Night Owl in the famous comic book series of The Watchmen. They made a movie out of it as well, but it's a very popular comic book. So I just thought, well, you got Night Owl from The Watchmen. My Instagram's Night Watchman. This is the watch when I make it. This is the one I'm going to get. I've even got a picture. Oh, you can ask Andy. I've even got a picture on my wall of it. So
Yeah.
there you go. So
I can verify that.
it's
fact.
on my radar.
Yeah.
I can never buy this because it's ridiculously priced for me.
Yeah.
It's got amethysts and diamonds in it, and but unfortunately, it does have the crown at 6 o'clock, which could be misconstrued as something else, but it is just the crown, and I'm sure whoever owns it enjoys turning that crown.
I am sure very much.
Adjusting the time, yeah.
It's a work of art. It's extremely beautiful. Not for everybody, but for your connection with the backstory, I think it's the most fitting watch. What goes with your big start of your journey within the watch community and leading furthermore into the watch industry. So I think if we see MB&F, well, we do have an appointment with MB&F at Geneva Watch Days. It should just be gifted to you. I think I don't see why not. Shouldn't have to pay for it.
Yeah, or at least wear it. Hopefully,
yeah.
At least wear
I'll
it.
give you it.
Try it on my wrist.
There you go. Keep it for a bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But all jokes aside,
loaner, I'll do a review on it. Yeah, I'll do a
2-month review. Yeah, it's fine.
But it's crazy.
It's crazy.
And yeah.
Like, this is not just
check out the show notes because it is.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the movement in this is also used on the frog.
Yeah.
And
on the bulldog. Yeah.
So yeah, the bulldog, and so you can kind of see how it all ties in as well on the horology machines.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The last comment I'd say on this piece before we close up is it's not just high horology and watchmaking; it's high level of gem setting and jewelry making as well. It's a combination of excellence across all three tiers, if you like. It's very, very impressive. And again, you could absolutely be like, what the hell is that? I hate it. But if you look a little bit closer, you've got to admire the craftsmanship, what's gone into it. I'd leave it at that.
You've got to admire the craftsmanship. And if I didn't have that connection, I probably wouldn't have even brought it up today.
But you do. And
it fits. Yeah. It fits the bill. It fits the bill.
But it's a work of art. It is very impressive.
Yeah. Well, that's all we have time for today. Andy, lead us out.
Yeah, time for the classic sign off. So please remember to check out the show notes for the best audio-visual experience over at www.chronopassion7.com. Let us know your opinions on our picks, and let us know some watches, maybe what we missed, what you think should be within this subject. Let us know in the comments below on the website. But that is adios and hasta luego from me. for this week.
And as Andy says, farewell from Barcelona. Check out the show notes. Put in some comments. We need more comments from you guys. And from London, it's Toodle Pip and laters, and we'll see you and you'll hear us in the next one.